Good evening, one and all. Welcome along. It is season 5, episode 19. And before I even get to the lads, I'm pulling up Joe's comment because it is so damn good.
Yeah, and I think we've just made a wee correction. I think it says 17 on the wee dashboard below, but yeah,
it does,
it is, yeah, but it is episode 19, folks. But yeah, by goodness, we gave those Giants an ass whooping.
Absolutely, we did. So I'm just gonna amend that. So, gents, what's the initial thoughts after Sunday?
It was expected. Like, if we didn't win this game by 30 plus points, it would still be considered a loss because due to how the downfall of the Giants are. Like we can, like, people can criticize, oh yeah, just only beat the Giants or whatever, but we still managed to put them away even before halftime again. Like, was it what 68 points unanswered in 6 quarters of football? 68 points in 6 quarters of football. Then obviously they scored in the third quarter and stuff like that. So, and like Valenti just commented, 89-17. That's the biggest deficit since what, 1962 or something like that. Some crazy statistic like that. So regardless of how bad the competition was, it's still a massive record-breaking. Like, you've had CD Lamb making records that game. You had Dak Prescott balling out in that game. Like, he looked very composed. He looked very on target, and yeah, he looked really great. So yeah, I'm very happy, and now going into the Panthers this weekend.
Yeah. Jamie, you were covering the game on Twitter, and you were having a lot of fun doing that game this week.
Oh God, yeah. I think Paul touched pretty much on everything, didn't he? On that, it was a complete performance. It was the kind of performance the Cowboys should have had against. And this is no disrespect, but a really weakened Giants team. But what was good as well was Dak again showed from the last few games he's continued that trend, and I mentioned that last week to you guys, saying, look, we need to see it a lot more, and we saw it again. Rico Dowdle looked really good. Brandon Cooks had a coming out party at wide receiver. The defense looked good. I think was it five guys got a sack apiece. We got an interception. I think the only. And it's not even a knock. It's not a knock on the defense. It's more because of how well they played. It's just a shame that they allowed the touchdown towards the end, just because of how well they played. I felt like they deserved to have a touchdown shutout. But such is life in the NFL. It's not a biggie. It's probably more of a nitpick. Like I say, it was more just because the defense played well. It would have been nice for them to come away as a group without allowing a touchdown. But I mean, what, 32 beaten by 32 points. I don't think we can really. I don't think there's a lot of negatives or any negatives in that game whatsoever, is there?
Yeah, I before we kind of mention anything else, I want to give a shout out to the New York Giants UK guys, like, because they've been absolute class, like dealing with it, what they're having to deal with, and they've been absolutely like top class guys in terms of having the back and forth on Twitter and stuff like that. Like, absolute class, that guys. So. We know, like, it's a shame that your team's kind of going through that phase and whatever not, but I'm sure you guys will come back stronger and stuff like that, like whatever not. But and the rivalry will kind of go on from there. But I just wanted to give a wee shout out to those guys, because it sucks to be in their side of the part, seeing their team being in that situation. I know they're a rival and stuff like that, and we like to beat our rivals, but at the same time, it's like, can you imagine if that was us? We'd be like kicking and screaming and throwing the fences. We might want to think about a different team to support. Pretty much, that's what most people would do. But that's just shows a true character of them being fans for their team by sticking by them no matter what. So shout out to the Giants UK guys.
Yeah.
Answer to the question, Brian. Yeah, I did.
Very good, very good. So Mark Anthony had a question asking if Jamie texted in the team Matt hanging with the boys. But going back to your point there, Paul, I mean, like the UK Giants are guys that are all class.
Absolutely.
We've been on their show, they've been on with us, and it's always a pleasure to talk to them. And like Jamie was interacting away with them all through that match on Sunday evening, and there was no bitterness, there was no bitchiness, and as fans on this side of the pond, we're very much
it's respect. It's respect in the day.
It's not as bitter as it can be in the UK, or sorry, in the US. And that's great to see. Like, we're all fans of the game first and foremost, and then we're all fans of our teams, and we just want to enjoy it,
Yeah, absolutely. Because not to mention any of our teams out there, but we have some situations where certain fan groups have kind of been a wee bit more hostile than others, but can't say nothing bad about the UK Giants guys. So, but yeah.
And like to be fair, I'm pretty sure Andy is probably tuned into the show right now. He often does drop a message during the weeks of the game.
Yeah.
So fair play. It's great that they're giving us support. We give them support, and it's long may it continue. But kind of, guys, you did touch on this during your preamble there. You're saying like there was records galore broken on Sunday night. Like, it's the first time we've had two receivers go over 150 yards, and we've had two rushers over 50 yards. It's the biggest difference in yards gained. It's Dak's 10th game with 400 plus yards. We've all the other QBs combined for the Dallas Cowboys have only 9 games between them. CeeDee Lamb is the first player to ever go 3 games in Super Bowl year with 10 plus catches and 150 yards in a game. It's just, the numbers are just staggering.
Yeah. And it's at first, because we were questioning, was the idea of this Texas Coast offense really the right way forward? But now we're starting to see the momentum going week by week. Like, even though we lost to the Eagles, right? Even though we lost, right? But there was a lot of good positives in that offense that we can take on board. And in this game in particular, we need to give Mike McCarthy a lot of credit. He made a lot of good adjustments in this game. You got Cooks involved a lot more. Rico Dowdle got involved a lot more. We saw how players should be utilized. Like, we saw Michael Gallup going the deep route. We mentioned this in the pregame show. Like, and he got a touchdown. Michael Gallup made the touchdown from that game as well. CeeDee Lamb, being who he is, and Brandon Cooks was on fire in that game. And that was the one we were like, how many times we questioned, what was the point of bringing Brandon Cooks in? Well, that there answered all your questions there, folks. Like, that there is like, that's why we brought Brandon Cooks in. When he is actually utilized, I think we've now finally know how to utilize him and how to utilize, like, so even Jalen Brooks, like, he had a good game as well, even though he was only on there for like small period of time, but he made some good catches to help us gain some good yardage. But yeah, but I think the only downside is our offense, and I don't want to talk any downsides really, but is Tony Pollard still that running back we want to kind of like keep on the team? Like, because frankly, I think we can actually move on from him, if I'm being perfectly honest, like from next year. Like, I hope he actually really comes out and really starts to get those 100 rushing yards and score multiple touchdowns again. But whatever it is, it just seems to not be working with him right now. But when we've got likes of Dowdle in there, he's bringing a bit more power, a lot more drive into those rushes right now, and I'm all for that.
Yeah. Do you know, we say about Pollard, do you not feel like it has a little bit of a feel to Dalton Schultz, whereas when we franchise tagged him and he wasn't worth the franchise tag? And no disrespect to Pollard, but I don't think Pollard was worth the franchise tag. I think that they used it on him, obviously, to cover the backsides, because they had no running back after Zeke, really.
Yeah, no, I think you're right, Jamie. In terms of what was the first point you made? Sorry, the first point.
Just saying it felt a little bit like Schultz, didn't it, by using the tag,
right.
and it wasn't really worth it.
In terms of the tag and stuff like that, yeah, I get that. But in terms of Pollard in general, I think with even Zach Martin and even likes of Terrence Steele, those three guys missed the majority of quite a lot of training camp. Well, Tony Pollard's coming back from a big, massive surgery. Same with Terrence Steele, but the majority of likes of Zach Martin missing out of training camp kind of proved evident in the first half of the season. So I think that's a big, massive factor to consider as well. So hopefully, and I'm saying this with a lot of gusto here, hopefully that Tony Pollard can change that and get back into rhythm again. So
yeah. Like some of the comments that have come in here from Andrew and from Joe, still worried that Pollard is not the same player this year.
Yeah,
Joe is saying the only reason Pollard is still playing is because of his $10 million contract. And I think at this stage, it's fair to say that is an issue. And sorry, Mark has just come in with a comment as well and said a couple of weeks ago, we have to use our backs in the running backs by committee.
Yes, I've been saying that even before the season started. You saw the success of Kansas City last year, and even with the Eagles last year, like they had a running back by committee, and it proved very successful. Even with Cleveland, they had Nick Chubb and who was the Kareem Hunt. They had that running back. There was no prime, like even though Chubb is regarded as the running back one, but they did share quite a lot of carries and stuff like that. So I am all in favor of the whole running back committee. Massive favor for that.
Not to kind of run off on a tangent here, but I was thinking it on Sunday. I was covering the game, and I didn't really want to put it out there. But if you can get him at the right price, would you pick up maybe a Saquon Barkley if you can get him at the right price?
Oh, that's actually quite good.
Because he's a pending free agent, isn't he? And I can't see them franchise tagging him again.
He's not gonna get the contract like Zeke got or anything like that. He's not gonna get that because he knows fine well that he's had multiple injuries. His performance is dipped. He's actually got worse stats than Tony Pollard right now, so he's not really justifying himself to get a big contract like other running backs have done in the past. So I would take the gamble on Barkley if he was to become available and have him as that running back by committee. It means it takes the pressure off him, less risk of injury, but you're still going to get the full brute force of his type of running style play. So I would definitely take that on board if that was an option for us, for sure.
Jamie, I'm liking what you're saying there because you're actually kind of reading my mind a little bit because myself and Rich have been talking about this today, and we're going to start doing a look ahead to 2024. So you've kind of planted a kernel there. So I
have it locked away sometimes. It don't come out often, but I like to surprise you guys sometimes.
Wait. And also, just to add as well, I'm pretty sure Saquon wouldn't mind not having to pay as much tax by coming to Texas rather than paying in New York. That's something to consider as well. So,
and to be fair, Andrew is joining in here, and he's saying yes, Jamie, Saquon Barkley, he would take. I think if you could get him for 5, 6, 7 million per year, I don't think I'd complain about that kind of deal.
No.
You know, if you've a Rico Dowdle there who can help, if you've a third running back and a fourth running back that can kind of help with the numbers, that you know, you're not having to rely, as you rightly say, Paul, that you don't have a bell cow running back anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Like, there's so many benefits to not having a bell cow running back, and we're kind of and this is what I was kind of afraid of for, like, say, Bijan Robinson right now at Atlanta. He is the bell cow right now for Atlanta, but already we can actually see him basically being overused right now, and it is kind of wearing down on him. Like, he's not. I wouldn't say he's having the impact that people expect. People expect Bijan to be what the impact that Zeke and Saquon did in their rookie seasons. That's not the case. Not the case at all. It really depends how you utilize him, but I think with now, like, like Zeke, he's now been the running back by committee because he's got Stevenson in New England. Like it's taking less hits to the body. It means he can prolong his career a bit more and stuff like that. What's that? It's a nice piano. Oh,
I wonder who that is.
Taffy Apple.
I think we know who that is, but good friend of the show, and I know you guys are going to be meeting up with this gentleman next week. Christopher Lee is saying Giants fans would.
That's my man, Big Chris.
If Barkley came to Cowboys.
Oh, Giants fans would die if that was the case because they hold them in high regard. But I kind of feel like, in a way, I feel bad for Saquon because he kind of feels as though the whole team's on his shoulders right now. I think he would actually like to be in a different environment where the pressure's off him, really, if that makes sense as well. But anyway, I think we've kind of talked about this, and I want to bring something else up though. Did anyone see Barstool Sports? Yes, Chris. Let's go barbecue waiting. Cannot wait. Tuesday night next week. Yes. But did anyone see the post way back from July about Dak Prescott by Barstool Sports? It's like please reply to us about Dak because they think Dak was going to get 10 interceptions by November 1st. Did anyone see that?
No.
Yeah.
For God's the basket. The band has absolutely flown tonight.
I still think Labarski's G. I've just because have you noticed he never comments when Graham's on and vice versa. No.
Labarski has been on when Graham's been on at the same time, and Labarski's actually because Graham and Labarski have a little, not a nemesis in a way, but they have a good bit of
romance.
They're a bit like Batman and Robin.
Aye.
And to be fair, Jamie, you and Labarski have never been seen in the same room either.
I know, Jamie.
That is very true. Yeah. So, we're going from a Cowboys podcast here to a bit of bit of theory. Conspiracy theory. That's it. Conspiracy theories.
It's the DC files.
Yeah. Get back to a couple of points here, and Mark Anthony has made 2 points, and I'm going to pull the two of them up, and then I'll throw it over to you guys. There's nothing wrong with Tony Pollard. He's the same back he's always been. Fans wanted Zeke gone. Now you've got what you've got.
That's a fair point.
And then he's added on top of that, stop concentrating on a single back. If we get over 100 yards rushing per game, does it really matter if it's one back or three?
So that's very true.
And not to kind of jump the gun a bit, but Dowdle, like we said, he had his coming out party this weekend. So I think we all we were saying in the group, we were saying like, look, can we not just keep feeding him the ball? Like that's no disrespect to Pollard, but the game was getting way out of hand in terms of a Giants thing. So why not keep going and giving him, like I say, giving him a lot more of the ball to then be able to blood him more into the game, into games going down the line. It's one of their things in it. It's a shame, but yeah, I'm with you on that, Paul. Saying like, if you get 100 yards through 3 running backs, it's no different, is it?
Yeah, and just to kind of back up Mark's comment, like I'm gonna I agree with him 100% what he's saying about the rushing yards, but end of the day, as long as we put more points on the board than the other team, I don't think we care. End of the day, but if we're putting in performances like that, then who really cares? Like, if I would love us to dominate every game like that, get every player on the board on the score sheet, that would be amazing. But the reality is, it's like, as long as we are actually putting points on the board and actually outscoring our opponents, that's the most important thing. We need to put the games to W's. That's it.
Yeah. So just you can kind of see there rolling through the bottom of the screen, just we do have a few injury updates and say the latest news and that. And CJ Goodwin has been shut down for the season, but concerningly, and I want to get both of your opinions on this, it also Leighton Van Der Esch has also been shut down for the season.
I've just got some news as well, actually.
Yeah.
As of right now, the New York Jets have just released running back Michael Carter.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
Right.
That's an odd decision.
I was quite surprised, but sorry, Brian. As you were going there, sorry, I just had to throw that in there.
Yeah, but as I say, look, Leighton Van Der Esch is finished for 2023, and there is potential that Leighton Van Der Esch, his career is potentially over at this stage.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really sad to say because I think like since Dan Quinn's been involved, he has been so much more productive in the defense. The only downside of LVE is he's got those neck injuries, and every hit is a bit fragile. I'd rather make sure that LVE actually is healthy in life rather than being back at football. So if this is the last time we're ever going to see him ever see him play was back in San Francisco, then so be it. But I'd rather make sure that he's actually healthy and actually can have a good life after football. Because if he was to come back and take one more hit or get pushed in the back by Trent Williams, which was a dirty move, I might add, and I'll talk about Trent Williams all day long because I think that guy is a piece of crap. That's my personal opinion about Trent Williams. He's a dirty player for his whole career, and what he did to push him in the back and push his head down into Micah Parsons was ridiculous. So, yeah, it's sad to say about every way than being carted off to the. Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, so. It's sad to say because I've had the honor of actually meeting Leighton, and he's such a lovely guy. I met him back in 2018. No, was it 2018? Yeah, it was 2018. It was rookie season. I met him when he just got drafted, and lovely guy. And I really do wish him all. Like, I just hope it's nothing. As much as I really would love to see him come back and play it, but I am scared for him. If that makes sense, I'm scared for him. I don't want him to end up being. What's happened, Brian? What's happened?
So Joe has just reached out and told us Kelvin Joseph has just been released by the Miami Dolphins.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
Not to jump away from the point Paul's making, but just because could you maybe see the Cowboys going to try and pick him up?
What, Joseph?
Kelvin Joseph?
No. That bridge is burned, unfortunately.
Yeah. But look, Jamie, like we can see the messages coming in and from everybody, it's pretty much a unanimous hope he does retire. There's more to life than football. And Taffy Apple is saying, will he finally be the ex-Cowboys player who becomes a coach? We all hope for the Sean Lee effect on that one.
I definitely think like if Leighton does have like those type of qualities. I mean, he's still young. Like he can definitely build a career being a coach so early on. Like use his experience, like what to do, what not to do in terms of tackling, especially. But yeah, if he does come back and does play football again, I am going to be on my seat, nervous every time he makes a tackle. That's all I'm going to say that. But if he does decide to retire, then I'm happy for him. Like, but if there's one thing, like, if LV has to retire, we need to try and get him some type of honor, some type of like get him the NFC East title or something like that, just to give him an honors for this year because he has contributed in that. So we need to give him something back in return because he's taken like reduced deals for us to stay in the team and stuff like that. It's been team friendly. It's been nothing but very pro Cowboys in terms of since he's been drafted. So and he's been and he's to me, I have the most love and respect for him.
Yeah, Jamie, give us your own thoughts.
Yeah, there was always that worry at the start of his career when he come out of college with the neck injury. The Cowboys have got a really good medical staff, so I couldn't understand why they were probably not too concerned. But then, like you say, as it gets going, and obviously nobody gets. Do you know what I mean? Everybody gets older. It just happens, doesn't it? And you take a lot longer to recover from these things. But then, and you don't ever want to see. Not saying it would happen, but do you know what I mean? But it's the scary point. You don't want to see something like what happened to Ryan Shazier happen to anybody else. That was an awful injury. And like I said, like Paul touched on, there's life after football. Like, yeah, it's what he knows and what he does, but you've got to think of your family life. And we say there's a lot to do with Tyron Smith, and it's, do you know what I mean? Like and it'd be devastating to see him go, but you've got to look at the bigger picture, and is it really worth his health to come back and try and win it? It's one. I mean, it's like 61.5 doesn't over in it. It's like if he comes back, yeah, be very nervous, but I would also be glad to see him back. But if he goes, it'd be like, thanks for everything. It's a shame it ended early, but he's a Cowboy. He'll always be a Cowboy.
Yeah. Lebarski has just commented here. He said, I would bet this is one of those cases where Jerry shines and pays him his contract. I mean, Jerry always does stuff like this, and he will always look after former players. I mean, they stood by Travis Frederick when Travis had to take a year out with Guillain-Barre's disease. They've stood by Sean Lee when Sean had a couple of years where, wasn't making the field.
I think didn't they do it to Tyron Smith as well? Didn't they cover his medical bills?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
While he was injured.
Yeah.
Or did I read wrong?
No, you're correct. Like the Cowboys as an organization are very much help out, and even if the player is no longer under contract, they will do what they can to help out a former player and look after them.
We can't forget the one that Jerry did the most for.
Yeah, and I was coming here.
Jalen Smith.
Yeah.
No, I was thinking thingy actually. I was thinking, Randy Gregory.
Oh, him as well, but
yeah. I thought that's what you were going to say, but yeah, Jalen Smith, yeah.
No, Jalen Smith, because we drafted him when he actually did probably one of the worst injuries you could ever ask for. We picked him up in the second round. We gave him a whole year rehab. Jerry covered all the medical bills to let him actually get up to that point. All the Dallas Cowboys medical staff get him up to the point where he could actually play football and have a career. Like, don't get me wrong, like, he had a good couple of seasons, but at the tail end, obviously, like, things happen as they did happen. But if that's one thing you can say about Jerry Jones, he does look after his players very, very well when they're injured or they've or they're retired or whatever. Like, remember when Romo retired and that, like, Jerry was very supportive. He actually like paid off the like then obviously they gave him, I can't remember what the actual what the contract was, but basically Tony basically got all the rest of his money essentially. Like, because he retired, because he had like 2 years left or something, and he's just like, we'll cover that, and it won't hit, and obviously outside the cap type of thing deal.
Yeah, like as Mark says here, he says some people can hate on Mr. Jones, but he truly believes once a Cowboy, always a Cowboy. And Lebarski says he agrees. Say what you will, but no one loves the Cowboys more than Jerry.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Jerry does get a lot of flack because obviously, like, is he doing enough to get us into the situation where we want to be in the Super Bowl and stuff like that? Is he too egotistic? Yeah, you could say that, but at the same time, you cannot fault Jerry Jones for looking after his players, his staff, his medical teams, and stuff like that. He really does make sure that he's got a well-oiled engine over there in terms of it's always constantly going. There's no disarray or anything like that. There's no problems and whatever. And that, like, he's very on top of that. So you need to give Jerry respect for that.
Yeah. So bringing it back round to the game itself, which we're here to cover. And look, I'll start rolling the credits through. As I say, Dak Prescott 26-35 for 404 yards and 4 touchdowns, 1 interception. He also rushed for a touchdown. I mean, Dak Prescott right now is probably the hottest quarterback in the NFL.
The disrespect that Dak Prescott is getting right now is ridiculous. Like, what more does Dak need to actually get mainstream media to actually say something nice about him? Honestly, it's getting ridiculous.
I don't think he cares.
Oh, totally agree.
Sorry, Jamie, you just dropped out there, but go ahead.
I was going to say I totally agree with Paul said. If that would have been a Patrick Mahomes performance, it'd be all over the NFL mainstream. They'd be shouting from the rooftops. But and I think if everybody goes back through the last few shows I've been on, I've been very critical of Dak and saying we need to see this more from him, and we've seen it. What now is it? 3, 4, 5 weeks in a row now, and it's still not getting the props, and it's a little bit pissing off. Excuse the language for it, but it's like you say, if this was a Patrick Mahomes or an Aaron Rodgers or a Joe Burrow, it'd be all over, and it's like it brushes under the carpet because it's Dak, and it's like, well, we'll go and give Dak his props. Do you know what I mean? He's been immense, and to be fair, the interception was a little bit like, but he come back out, and you know what I mean, some quarterbacks that would have probably shook up and they'd have had a bit of a sketchy game, but he went out and literally he lit it up.
Yeah.
I want to mention this though, right? And this is not really so much on Dak, right? Like Dak is the most efficient quarterback in the NFL as of right now, based on your QBR ratings, in terms of your efficiency of passing the ball, or in terms of accuracy right now. Dak's right up there. Hurts is he is top up there, but not as much as Dak.
Not in the same tier.
I know, but based on there was a scatter graph about it in terms of the efficiency and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So and I was just like, it's like that's quite interesting. It's like they're praising Josh Allen, they're praising likes of Mahomes, whose average QBR rating is like below 100 right now.
Yeah.
Dak's overall QBR rating is like 110 or something like that throughout the whole season. Yeah, he's had the 2 bad games, obviously against Arizona and San Francisco, but in terms of any other game, he's like been in the 90s, the mid 100s, and like the 120s, like pretty much.
So 138 this weekend.
138. So there you go. So he's almost to perfection in that game. And again, you could say, it's the Giants. Who cares? It's still impressive, the fact to do it at that high level. If you're in the NFL, you're good enough to actually be playing against. I hate this idea. It's like, we're playing against the replacements. I was like, I'm sorry, but you're not exactly going to bring in Joe Blogs from the street to play. Like, you know what I mean? So, and I thought the disrespect was ridiculous from like CBS Sports and NBC Sports. And Mike posted a couple of tweets about it. One in particular was, and this is not towards that, but this is just to whole of Dallas, right? They listed out of all the top Super Bowl champions, like obviously listing them out. So they had New England at 6, San Francisco at 5. Then next on 4 was like the New York Giants. Then there was all the other teams. Dallas was not in that list. They've got 5 Super Bowls, and they completely skipped out the other team that's won 5 Super Bowls. It was so disrespectful. I'm like, are they really trying to trigger us to really kind of get a kick out of us? I would say so, yes. But exactly, Valente, there was no Cowboys in that. And when it comes to like I think it was like the Jets game, it's like notable performances against the Jets. Jalen Hurts, 1 interception, 2 touchdowns, blah, 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 blah. Even though they lost, Mahomes, almost the exact same statistics. I was like, I'm sorry, but where was Dak's statistics in that? I'm pretty sure he actually dominated against the Jets, and actually a good Jets team with Sauce Gardner playing, I might add.
Mm-hmm. See, so, you know, just to kind of tally on to back of what Paul's saying as well, you flip it on the other way. If Dak has an awful game, you hear it no endless amount of times. So, but look at and only because Paul mentioned it, Josh Allen. He's been awful the last 4 or 5 weeks. We've hardly heard anything.
Yeah,
it's absolutely ridiculous. Like, we could be critical of Dak. that's just like that. But that's a fan perspective because we're fans of the team, so we see more than we probably would do with the other quarterbacks in the league. But it's also like it gets to a point where you sit there and think, is that QB? Regardless of what we think, it's like give him the props. You slag him off when he's bad. Give him the props and be diplomatic about it, and give him the props because you quick to jump on his back so be quick to get him on your shoulders and praise him.
Like I think all we're asking for is fair analysis. Fair analysis, like for the pro Cowboys in the mainstream media, like your Skip Bayless and I hate to say this, but Michael Irvin as well. They oversell us, if that makes sense. Like they make us a target. Like it's like just I would tell them calm it down, speak more logic, and when it comes to the other teams, it's like just be more, just actually talking based on facts, and rather than be emotional when it comes to Chris, you just beat your team or you don't like them, whatever that. You need to give props when it's actually due.
Well, here's the thing, Paul, and I think, look, I'm going to speak about a guy who we all know quite well. And I think this is the guy who is the most balanced of all in the media. And that's our own Dave Hellman.
Yes.
Dave is never too high. He's never too low at all. If he sees a bad play, he'll call, look, that's not great. But if it's good, he'll call it good. And that ranges from Dak to CeeDee Lamb to Mike Parsons to everyone. And
he's consistent, not just with the Cowboys, but every team. Mm-hmm. Like he gives it 100% the way it's supposed to be. But the thing is, like Dave's now got his own segment now, which is great because on Speak, I think they on that particular TV show they're looking for clickbait essentially, and I don't think I could be spitballing here, and David, you're listening, I do apologize. I think with Dave being on there, he was being too analytical for the likes of minds of LaShawn McCoy, who I'm sorry, who is a complete absolute fool. I'm sorry, but it just was not getting the engagement that they want with the more Joy Taylors and your LaShawn McCoys to say, oh yeah, that's trash. Oh, but that just threw 4 touchdowns and no interceptions. How could you call that trash? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Jamie, I can see you smiling and you're about to say something. So
I'm just I'm smiling because Paul's right. Like you say, it's clickbait stuff in it. It's they're all right. If like you say, if it was the other way around, and I said we'll just use LaShawn McCoy because he mentioned him. But if it was the other way around, and it was Hurts that was getting all this crap, he would rightly be like, well, hang a minute, he's played well. Why don't you give him his props? Like they say, but it's clickbait, and we get it a little bit. Well, we used to anyway. Used to get it from Neil Reynolds. Neil Reynolds used to do it, but because he knew it would trigger Cowboys fans. We always had that conversation with him before, and he's like, I have no problems with the Cowboys, but like you say, it's just it seems to be the ones that predominantly hate the Cowboys. You always see it the same way. Like you say, anybody that's got backgrounds with the Eagles don't ever really say much nice about the Cowboys. But like you say, you see it on the DallasCowboys.com stuff. Always very fair. If a rival's players have played well, they'll come out and say it. If the rival's players have had a bad game, they'll say it, but they'll also say it about the Cowboys. It's that kind of stuff. That's why I like listening to a lot of their stuff more than anybody else's, because even though they're there for the Cowboys, they tell it as it is, and that's what you want. You don't want this make-up rubbish just for clickbait. You want to listen to someone's opinion because they're actually telling you sense, and they're not just talking crap for the sake of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, agreed, Jimmy.
I just want to bring up 2 points here, and they're both from Lebarski. He says LaShawn McCoy is living up more to his nickname as an analyst than as a player. Definitely shady. I fully agree with you on that, Lebarski. And then the second thing was, he says, I thought Brian was going to say Skip Bayless.
I said Skip Bayless. I say them.
Yeah.
But the reason I said Skip Bayless, because whenever the Cowboys win, he oversells it. Like he makes it out like, and that's one thing that annoys me the most when when it's pro Cowboys with too big of a voice, they big it up way too much, and that's why it gives us fans a bad name. That's why you've got your Stephen A's like hating on us and stuff like that. Like, and I can't believe I'm going to say this. I can't believe I'm going to say this. There is times where Stephen A. Smith can be very level-headed. At times he can give us props when it comes to it. But even though he hates us, but he will give us fair props when it's appropriate.
See, like the whole clickbait stuff when you mentioned Skip Bayless as well, like it knows me. It's like when you see it, if Dak has a bad game, you see him posting videos of him throwing his Dak Prescott jersey in the bin. But then when Dak plays well, it's like he's Dak's biggest advocate. It's like, come on, man! It's like you can't be both.
He's like he's suffering from bipolar or something like that. Honestly, like how could like this is my personal take. If you're a so-called Cowboys diehard and you throw a Cowboys jersey in the trash, I'm sorry. That to me is no. I'm sorry. And and I completely agree with Mark here. He is a complete and utter idiot. And I just hate the fact that he tries to brag about, I've been with Jerry, I've been on his yacht and stuff like that. Skip, no one cares. No one freaking cares about you being on his yacht and whatever and that. And so seriously, just there's a reason why Shannon Sharp moved away from at least he actually had some type of level head when he was on that show with him, and I'm sorry, we are jumping way off the mark here. We're supposed to we are supposed to be talking about this win against the Giants here.
I'm going to bring you back on track.
Please do, Brian. Please bring me back on track here because I'm getting myself all rallied up about this.
So I just as I say, I wanted to go back to this. So Lebarski, if you ever think I'm talking about Skip Bayless, you're totally wrong. I will never talk about mainstream media. And that's why I wanted to kind of bring it back to this point. And Paul and Jamie both kind of mentioned it in the last 5 minutes. If you look, all of us have kind of learned how to podcast and learned how to speak from watching the guys on the Dallas Cowboys media team. Yeah. They've supported us from day one. And that's why you will always see us. We're never too high. We're never too low. Now, don't talk to us in the group chat because that can be fun. But the thing is, we analyze what we see. We take the time to have a few days in between the pre-game and the post-game, that we can kind of rewatch, balance our opinions out, and then we'll talk,
Yeah, absolutely.
Like that. When the game is on, we're fans like the rest of you, and we will call each other out on everything. Yeah, but we always try to be balanced.
Yeah, if it's like me and Brian and possibly even Rich are probably the best examples. There's a reason why we don't normally post on Twitter during game day. So this is why the level-headedness really comes on board, and this is why we've got good connections with Derek Eagleton and Brian Broaddus and stuff like that to come onto the show as guests and stuff like that. So, and big shout out to Cowboys Break for actually giving us.
But look, as I said I'm going to bring you back on track. So Joe has
please do.
Joe has brought up the point. CD Lamb, 3 straight games, 10 targets, and going. Joe has over 100. It's actually over 150 yards in 3 straight games, and that one-handed catch by CD Lamb on the very first drive. Jamie, talk to me about that.
I don't think I could find the words. I think when I was covering the game, I think the only thing I could use was wow. It was literally, it was immense. I'm just hoping that NFL UK tweet that catch out constantly like they did Odell Beckham's one-handed catch against us years ago. Because this game, we actually won this game while that catch was on, whereas they lost to the Giants for that game. But yeah, it was immense. The catch. Said it last week. He's a wide receiver one. He's definitely a wide receiver one. But then just to flip it off before Paul gives his opinion on it. What about the sideline catch from the Cowboys coach when
I
Danny
saw
DeVito
that.
threw it into the crowd. That was quite good as well.
I have to admit that was pretty cool. I have to admit.
Yeah. So, Paul, I've a question for you, and it's still on CD Lamb, and we kind of mentioned this a few weeks ago before this run started. You know, that this was the season where CD needed to prove that he was that guy who could get you 10 catches a game, that could get you over 100 yards a game, that could, you know, get those back shoulder fades, that could get you those yards along the sidelines. And, you know, this a lot of people this offseason wanted him to step up into that bracket with Jamar Chase, with Justin Jefferson, with Stephon Diggs, with Tyreek Hill. And I think he's done that this season.
I think he's actually beat every one of those guys you've mentioned. Though obviously the only one is kind of on par with him right now. And I think there's between now, as the season stands, there's only 60 yards difference, I believe, between him and AJ Brown. So
yeah,
I believe that
it's about 100 yards between CD, Tyreek Hill, and AJ Brown.
Yeah, but I think between CD and AJ 60 yards difference, I believe.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
and yeah, again, this is the whole narrative of the media, but I'm not going to mention more about the media. But anyway, but the idea is like he's not still getting the recognition out of it. But we as the fans, we are starting to really see that this year. And you mentioned it just there in terms of the routes and stuff like that. Like he was going deep route, he was going slants, he was doing curl routes, he was doing post routes. Like he was doing everything that was assigned to him, and he was on fire. And not to mention, like the other wide receivers were on par as well. They were everybody was on point. I thought, like I think the only one, like again, I don't want to sound like a pure down. I think the only downside was probably Luke Schoonmaker's drop pass, really.
Yeah.
But other than that, I think it was safe to say it was our overall great performance.
You know, though, as well, like sometimes you don't like players calling things out in a certain way when they're getting interviewed. But he said a few weeks ago, didn't he? He was like, "Look, get me the ball." He's like, "This is what I'm here for." And ever since he's done it, he's balled out, and like apart from the Eagles game, because that was we were pretty unlucky. We were pretty much screwed out of that game. But in all these three games, essentially you've got 3 wins there when CD Lamb's gone over 120, 130, 140.
Yeah.
That's what you've gone out and paid your quarterbacks all this money to do, to find your wide receiver one. You've got your wide receiver one. Throw him the ball. A prime example as well of doing that is what the Vikings did when Jefferson's been fit. Throw him the ball, throw him the high ball, let him go up and grab these 50-50 balls. That's what you're paying him to do. And he's showing it.
Yeah, Spain about 50-50 balls. I thought Gallup was on par in that game as well. Like him beating his man on man coverage and stuff like that as well. Like you can say whatever, again, cornerback, or he was a backup or whatever. Not who cares? The fact is, he actually performed and actually did what Michael Gallup was supposed to do, go down more deep route passes and actually perform challenge for those 50-50 balls, be more physical. He did that as well. And we need to give a good talk about like some Brandon Cooks as well. Like, I
just want to go to one point here for a second, but look, lads, we can see all the comments that are coming through, and it's great to see that everyone is talking to each other in the comments and answering each other's questions. Look, I know Andrew is dying to get this, and I'm actually going to back up Andrew a little bit on this. He's asked us, is CD better than Des Bryant in his heyday? And I'm going to say CD is not as good yet. He needs to prove it over the longer term, like Des did.
I agree.
So I'm going to give Des his props, but CD can get there if he keeps going the way he is.
I would say the first 6 years of Des Bryant to the first 5 years, 4 years of CD? Well, so first 4 years of each player, Des 100%. But obviously, when Des signed a new contract when he got that new contract with Daz, he did decline a little bit. But other than that, I would still have Dez over Lamb. Like, just in terms of the pure physicality, in terms of the passion for the game, in terms of leadership in particular. Like, I mean, prime example. Do you remember the Eagles game that Dez went up to? I can't remember the Eagles player's name is, but they were having a right tuffle at the warm-ups of the game.
Yeah,
actually, that's our bloody number 88 right there. That guy will do anything for this team. Like, yeah. But again, CD. Again, I agree with Andrew. CD can be better, but it's just a matter of just keep it going as it. Like, try not fall down from grace right now. Like, just keep up the good work. And if that's the way we're performing with Carolina this weekend coming up, why not keep it going?
Yeah. It's just a shame, isn't it? That,
go ahead, Jamie.
Sorry, man. Just say it's just a shame because that you kind of can't compare the two in terms of we got to see Dak. We got to see Dak play with them both, although Des not for not as long as CD has. But in terms of seeing what could have CD been like with Romo's, or just to kind of for that comparing narrative. Because there's not, although you would probably pick Des at the minute, like I said, CD's definitely got the potential to be better.
That's quite a good take, actually. Like, would you rather have CD Lamb going back in time play with Romo, or would you have prime Dez back with Dak Prescott now? That would be I think that'd be quite a split discussion, I think.
So I'm going to kind of bring it back up. So I'm just trying to find Mark's comment here. So as he says, look, Andrew, not necessarily better, but different. Des was extremely strong, which is not part of CD's game, but I think he's a better route runner than Des.
Yeah.
And the two players don't play the same game, but what you want from your wide receiver one is production, is catches, is yards, is touchdowns. And I think if you throw a 50-50 ball, Des is going to win that every time. If you're looking for route running, I think CD Lamb is a better player. Could you have done different, as you kind of say, could you have done differently with different quarterbacks? Possibly. But look, let's just be happy that we've had such great receivers.
Yeah. We've had a good look at wide receivers, especially in the past 10 years. We've got Des Bryant, we had Amari Cooper, and now we've got CD Lamb. So let this may continue, and I think that's probably like you kind of what Mark's just kind of mentioned. I think if that was the only thing missing from CD Lamb's game is to add a bit more mass, a bit more muscle, be more physical. If that was the case, I'm pretty sure he would be top dog in terms of the wide receivers in the league as of right now.
Yeah. So, Jamie, I'm going to throw this to you, and Paul, I'll come back around to you. You kind of mentioned it a couple of minutes ago. We cannot leave this segment without talking about Brandon Cooks. Yes. 173 yards, I think it was, 1 touchdown, 9 receptions. We complained last week they didn't target him. They targeted him this week, 173 yards and a touchdown. Discuss.
That's what you brought him in for. You brought him in. Like you say, he's a different receiver to Gallup. He's a different receiver to CD. He stretches the field. He stretched the field a lot at the weekend, and by God, did he make the most of his opportunity. I'm just trying to find the stats now. His longest reception was 37 yards. He averaged 19.2 per catch. Absolutely sick in a good way. I mean, and I think we've finally seen that we've got that 1-2 wide receiver punch, which we've been desperately lacking. And that's no disrespect to Jay Ferguson. Me and Paul are massive Jay Ferguson fans. But you want that 1-2 punch at the wide receiver position, and then you want your go-to tight end. So now we've got, not saying that any of the others are not, but we've got 3 legitimately dangerous targets on that field if you get them all on at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Paul, I just want to come to you with this question here, because I meant to come to this earlier in the show, and it feeds in with the whole idea of Brandon Cooks as well. And it came from Lebarski. Have we just completely abandoned the Texas coast, or have we adapted to accommodate this team strength? Whatever it is, I like it much better.
I think we've definitely adapted it. I think the problem was we're still trying to find what best suited the players at their best strengths. Obviously, brand new system, Mike McCarthy in charge. We knew it was going to take time. We thought it would have clicked a lot more sooner, but I think it's now starting to click. And if this is the way we're going to be playing, like don't get me wrong, we saw the good glimpses of that against the Eagles. Despite the loss, I still thought we put in a good fighting performance in there offensively. There is still some wee creaks and butts there, but it was a hell of a lot better than other performances early on in the season. So I think we're now in a good stage where, okay, we know this works for this player, that works for this player. This is what we're going to be doing, and Mike McCarthy can now build up that better strategy. And credit to Mike McCarthy, like I said at the start of the show, he adjusted his game plan to accommodate his players. So massive kudos for coaching, massive kudos for the adjustments, and massive kudos for the players to really shine under those adjustments as well. And I just wanted to bring this up for about Brandon Cooks. So it was 173 yards, you said there, Brian?
Yeah, 173.
Right, so we all know that Brandon Cooks has been probably one of the most consistent wide receivers in terms of getting 1,000-yard seasons. And I know what I'm about to say might be a bit of a stretch as of right now, but there is 9 games left, right? So on average, if Brandon Cooks was to get 83 yards per game for the next 9 games of the regular season, he'll still hit that 1,000-yard season. 83 yards.
Yeah.
Doable.
Still doable.
It very much is. And like that, as I say, look, it's great to see all these comments coming in. You know, Lebarski is saying, I hated that we lost the game last week, but it came out of it feeling positive. And Mark is saying, I have to mention, and Paul touched on it earlier, McCarthy called the perfect game. We didn't need to score 70 points. We needed the lead and then use this game and the next few as preseason games. And Jamie, I kind of touched on this in, as I say, in our own admin chat, that this was, it's not that it was a get right game, but this was a game where you needed to get everybody touches the ball. So like that, Michael Gallup had 70 yards and a touchdown. Jalen Brooks got involved, got his first touchdown. Ferguson got a touchdown. Everybody got touches, got involved, and it just felt right. This can give us a bit of a launch into next week, as Mark is kind of saying, feed into that Panthers game. And then we're coming into, say, the game in that you guys are going to be at in a week's time. And then we're getting ready for that bunch coming into AT&T, and we should be in a lot better format.
I said it on Twitter, and I said it when we were having our admin chat, that, yeah, it was get the game out of the way and take the starters out mid-third quarter. Yeah, I mean, and it's the perfect way, like you say. Like, we looked like Jalen Brooks got his first 4 receptions in the NFL. Dowdle got a lot of touches. We were spreading the ball around. It was just, I think the one thing out of it all that kind of peed me off a little bit is it wasn't anything to do with what the Cowboys done. It was the commentators. I think was the last touchdown we went for it, and they were like, "Why are the Cowboys running the score up?" And if that would have been anybody against the Cowboys, everyone would have been saying, "Run the score, run the score." No, run the score. Like you say, get these guys out, get them some reps. Like Cooper Rush had 9 attempts. Yeah, he threw he threw a poor interception, but he had almost as many passing yards as DeVito did with almost half the reps. And like I said, if touch wood, it don't happen, but if that goes down, would you feel more confident going into this weekend's game, knowing that Cooper Rush got a quarter and a half, or he had 3 or 4 snaps to finish the game? You'd rather have it this way, wouldn't you?
I actually would say I would definitely swing towards what Mark Anthony mentioned. Regards to, I'd rather us dominate one half of football, and like if it's like the Panthers is going to be an good example. They are doing terrible right now. They're the worst team in the NFL. They're 1-7 right now. If we put another 28 points in the first half, we'll let Dak play a couple of more reps in the third quarter and just play it out with our backups, because I do agree that, because again, it gives more guys more exposure, more reps across the board, and not just that, it prevents injury and more best example, Tyron Smith. We don't have to play him the whole game. Like it means we can keep him still fresh going into the more week 14 game against the Eagles, the Thanksgiving game, and the Seahawks game as well. So I think that's definitely something to consider as well. So I'm definitely more in favor of, like, if we're dominating like the 65% of the game throughout, then bring in the backups, give them some reps, give them more exposure, and give us more options if there was something to happen, then at least we feel more comfortable going forward with that.
Just to quickly sideways, just because Paul mentioned Carolina, just a big shout out to Mike Bull and Darren, and also to John DePace. They're all going to be in Carolina this weekend for the game.
Yeah, so guys, if you're at the Carolina game, be sure to look out for the UK Cowboys fans, Mike, Bill, and Darren, and because
John DePace as well is going to be out there as well with his missus. So there's going to be some repping out there.
Yeah, they'll be repping out the fan club out there. So and I believe Darren and Mike will be wearing our signature hoodies that we're going to be wearing for the Thanksgiving game as well. So
yeah. And I know these guys are they're actually part of the Carolina Panthers setup, but the boys from Sky Fever, friends of mine here, they regularly tune in, and they're actually playing one of the songs that's on the Sky or on the Panthers set list. So keep an eye and an ear out for those boys.
Oh, nice one.
Yeah, but. Sorry, I'm just trying to see, is there anything else we need to talk about on offense?
I think we've covered quite a lot. I will give also a shout out to Hunter Luke as well. Even though he was very limited, but I saw very similar glimpses of Beef and Zeke at one point with him and Dowdle. I saw similar glimpses of that, where he played the proper fullback role by running the inside block, helping likes of Tyler Smith moving upfield to seal the block in, and Dowdle will run those extra 5 yards up front. I think nice. That's a type of good thing that we've got. We've got another option in terms of the inside run. If we can keep that going as well for Dowdle and that, and even Pollard had some success with that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Look. Just something I do want to touch on there before we get off the offense. Look, 640 yards, something unbelievable. But the biggest stat for me, red zone, 6 of 7. Red zone troubles are gone.
Yeah, it was good to watch. Like you say, it wasn't that kind of thing of, my God, what's going to happen. And if I'm right, actually, I think the only time we didn't convert down in the red zone was on that first drive on it when we went for it on 4th and 1 and sadly didn't get it. But yeah, it was nice going there thinking, you know what, we could get some points here, and some serious points. And like I said, we took it away. So fingers crossed it keeps going for the next few weeks.
I will say though, and this is not, I don't want to end it in a pure negative, but if you notice the past 2 games, our first offensive drive was a really bad 4 and out. You ever noticed that? But after that, it's like the light bulb switches, and that's when we go out and actually play some really good football. I don't know if that I may be thinking into it maybe a little bit too much here, but is it a concern at all?
Not for me personally. I just think it's one of them. Just for the fact that I think if it would have been the Eagles, I don't think we would have gone for it on fourth down there. I think we would have took the field goal. I think the Cowboys would probably confident of. Oh, they did it twice, but back to back, didn't they? They were confident of if we turn the ball over right down here that we're gonna get it back straight back, and we did. So luckily, I think because it was the Giants, I think we get away with it. The Eagles, I don't think we would have done.
Yeah. So look, we're nearly an hour and 10 minutes into the show. Mike is going to kill us, but look, it's time to talk about the defense. And I mean, I don't think we can start without mentioning 5 sacks. Paul, Neville Gallimore had a sack.
My guy. And but unfortunately, he got himself ejected at the end of the game.
That's really why.
To be fair, though, on that one, it was a bad ejection, and not in any way condemned. But it was, to be fair, it was provoked. He was pushed into the ground, and he's kicked out. I think 65-70% of players would have probably reacted the same way.
Aye, but at the same time, though, Jamie, you need to be. There's a thing called, like, especially in football, there's a thing called controlled aggression. Like, especially if you're in the trenches, if you're in the O-line or defensive line, it's like, you want to be aggressive, but it needs to be very controlled. Neville Gallimore lost control of that, and he got ejected for it. So, but his sack was absolutely fantastic, and it was the burst from the get off. His first step really pulverizing that guard and really got underneath his arm to really pull the rip move on it and really got to him. So, but
I have a question for you.
Go for it.
Are you the big Lebarski?
I bloody wish. Unfortunately, I don't have the charisma and the patter like that Lebarski brings to the table. Like I take the piss out of myself most of the time. I couldn't be in the same level as Lebarski's level here, so I can't take credit.
You know what though? And apologies, Brian, if you're going to bring this up, but I think one of the stats that sticks out that kind of maybe gone a little bit unnoticed, especially because we've been on his back because he was the first round pick. Marzi Smith, three solo tackles and a tackle for loss.
He had a fantastic game. This is the reason. Like, this was more his coming out party game. This is the main reason why we brought him in, was to stop the run, and he did that very, very well, really, really well. Like, he took in, I can't even recall how many double team blocks he took on that game and still prevailed.
Yeah. And like to be fair, as we always say about a defensive tackle, like you're never going to see the value of this guy unless you have an Aaron Donald in your midst. You're not going to see a defensive tackle really blossom till season 2 and midway through season 2 at that, and into season 3. Like, if you look at Oso Odigizua, I know himself and Mazzy are not the same. One's we have a 1 tech and a 3 tech, but Osa in his first 8 games was playing lights out and tapered off, and then he played well in his first 10 to 12 games last season and tapered off. And what we're seeing with Mazzy is that the graph is going upward like this, is going up and to the right, and that's what you want to see from him.
That's exactly, Brian. And in terms of being proper 1 tech defensive tackles, they are very hard to come by. It's like you mentioned, that you've got the unicorns of that position, which is basically Aaron Donald, your Warren Saps. You could even put Ndamukong Suh in there, because way back when he was drafted by the Lions, he was a wrecking ball. Even though he was a bit of a dirty player, but he was a wrecking ball. Like, those type of guys stood out from the crowd. So, when it comes to Mazzy Smith, like, he's not. the expectation is, oh, is he going to be like Aaron Dorr? No, he's not. A completely different player for that. Is he going to be the guy who's going to help stop the run? At 100%. He's there to eat up double team blocks. He's there to actually force back offensive linemen into the pocket to force the quarterback to make some like under pressure mistakes. That's what he's designed to do. If he actually gets into the backfield, that's going to be scary, because if anyone remembers during the draft process of the power and strength he can do, if he was to even get his hands on a quarterback, not to mention the actual player with the ball, the running back in question, they're going for a ride. They're going to be thrown about like a wet tracksuit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And to be fair, I think, as you've kind of said, Paul, like, Mazzy is not there. He's not designed to be a guy who appears regularly on the stat sheet. He is there to make to take double teams, to stop the center, to stop one of the guards as well. Yeah. That's his job. And if he comes maybe to 90% of what Vita Vea is now, I'll be very happy with that draft.
Oh, absolutely. And just on that point out to make, like, so we had what, five sacks. How many tackles for losses did we have in that game?
8.
8, right? So when you really do think about it, right?
7, I think 7.
7. Well, either way, when you really do think about it, right? With Mazzy Smith now really concealing the inside, we saw a lot more action from the edges. Like, there's a lot that, like, don't get me wrong, like, you got DeMarcus Lawrence, I had Dante Fowler, we had I can't even remember who else or got a sack. I believe Darren Armstrong got one.
Dorrance Armstrong got a sack,
and Sam Williams.
Sam Williams got a sack,
So you're seeing a lot more pressure from the edge because the inside's been so like reveled up. They're like they haven't. It's that whole thing I keep talking about, that chain reaction. If one player in the middle is giving you more grief, if Mazzy Smith is forcing the guard back with ease, then obviously he's going to have backup from the center. That's going to leave a gap for the inside. That means the chain reaction from the other side of the guard are going to have to like be more cautious, and that's now going to put pressure on the other. So it's a chain effect, and now. Supposedly the tackle position, even though Evan Neal was playing and he came off and stuff like that, regardless, it still created that chain reaction. The defense were actually putting all the firing cylinders on those edges because of what was happening in the middle as well. So what I'm basically what I'm trying to say is every piece of that puzzle in terms of defensive line, if one player helps out massively by taking on a double team, it's going to affect the rest of that offensive line, and it's basically opening up the door for one of those players, if it's on the edge or B gap or A gap, even a linebacker or blitz, it's going to make their job a lot more effective to get to the quarterback more quicker.
Yeah.
Point gone then.
Too busy texting.
No, I'm sorting out my taxes.
Oh,
it's tax return time here in Ireland. But another question. Lebarski has kind of mentioned it here. Sam Williams, punt gunner. How about that? Sam Williams is absolutely blowing it up in special teams, and he's also starting to show up on the defensive side of the game. Paul, as you said, like he'd a sack, he'd a tackle for loss, quarterback hit. And look, it's been slow getting him in, but as I kind of said about defensive tackle, you need a season and a half to get to that NFL level, and that's what you want to see from him.
I would say the same with defensive ends. I would say you said defensive tackle, but I would say it's the exact same process for defensive ends as well. Like, remember, DeMarcus Lawrence had to, after year 2, he was starting to really come out, starting getting better. His rookie season was kind of like, oh yeah, like he's just like an body essentially, but he eventually got there. It was the same with Tyron Crawford as well. His rookie season wasn't really the best, and he started getting better, but obviously he got moved about quite a lot.
Yeah.
So, and yeah, it's unless you're like the Nick Bosa's or Joey Bosa's of the league, they're not going to make that instant impact from the get-go. Like, it does take time. There's a reason why Sam Williams was drafted in the second round, because he does have the traits. It's just a matter of building it up to that point. And we are starting to see that with Sam Williams now, which is great, because we had the opportunity to interview him on the Cowboys Experience show, me and Mike, and he's absolute standard guy, and we'll get to meet him next week at the meet and greet. And his target was to try and get 10 sacks this year, and I think it could possibly be possible. Like this game against Carolina, who knows what could happen? He might get a couple in this game, but I think his target is actually kind of realistic. The more you're seeing more him getting featured now, because he is getting better and better with every game that we're seeing now.
Yeah. Go on, Jamie.
Yeah, I think I don't think there's much more you can say. Is like you say, he's taking the opportunity he's getting. It was nice to see him get some defensive snaps in the game. But I think Paul mentioned it even about him the other week. He's like, yeah, he wants more snaps, but if he gets him on the field, then he doesn't mind doing the special team stuff. That's what you want. You want players that will want to get on the field regardless of where they're playing. It's just another opportunity, especially on special teams, to show the coaches that you can trust me. Now put me in on my specialist side of the ball, and he's starting to do that, and I think that's why the coaches have then been a bit more comfortable moving. You know, I think it was forced in some ways, but it's helped and make a decision to say, look, yeah, we can afford to probably put Micah Parsons back to linebacker for now, because we feel that we've got enough on that line to be able to cope with moving him back and losing the production from the line we would get from him. Because, like I said, people like Sam Williams, Osadigizua, Gallimore can come in and pick up that slack what we're going to be missing from that side.
Yeah. Don't forget your boy Chauncey Goldston.
Yeah, he had one in there. It's a marathon, not a sprint.
Yeah. But I mean, again, to kind of give some of a lesser light a shout out, Dorrance Armstrong, again, another sack. And I think Mike posted this up a couple of weeks ago. Dorrance Armstrong has as many tackles as, I can't remember who it was, and hopefully he's still watching and is going to send in a message now. But it was a first round pass rusher. And you're kind of going, like, I honestly can't remember. But, like, Dorrance Armstrong is showing up in every game. And as you boys both kind of said, if you can get that production from Dorrance Armstrong, from Sam Williams, from Chauncey Goldston, also Osadigizua, Neville Gallimore, Demarcus Lawrence is going to tie down that left side of the line at all times.
Is it Karlaftis? Is it not George Karlaftis?
I don't think it was George Karlaftis, because I think it was someone before that was drafted before that.
Sure.
I'm not sure if it was Randy Gregory or someone like that, but that's the thing, like, is that now you know what the line is giving you, and it's a young line, bar Marcus and Jonathan Hankins, that Micah is now going to be freed up to play that linebacker kind of rover role, in that he can go where he wants, he can line up where he wants. And is that not what you want for your, master of all trades? Because that's essentially what Micah Parsons is.
I think listening to Hanging with the Boys, I think it sounds like he wants to go back to the end, which is no surprise. But he can still be just as dominating, stood up without. But like I said, I think having him at the linebacker, they're having him as a different one out there. It sounds like it's a bit more. He's going to be sitting back off rather than trying to attack the quarterback. But like I say, Micah's jack of all trades. He's dominant if you've got him on the line with his hands in the dirt, or if you've got him stood up. Teams are still going to struggle to stop him, and that's one of the privileges we have as Cowboys fans, that we've got such a great linebacker on this team that he can play multitude of positions, and that's what you want. Like I say, it's a league where you need a lot of versatility, and we've certainly got that with him.
Yeah, like Paul, not looking too far ahead, but looking to the summer, we obviously have to make a decision on Micah Parsons, because after 3 years, he's allowed to say, look, I want my new contract. And I get the reason why he's saying he wants to be paid wants to be listed as a defensive end. Defensive ends get paid more than linebackers.
Yeah, and I think he should be paid, to be honest. He's very vital to the team. He contributes a lot. Like, don't give out like stats against the Giants. Like, obviously, he didn't really get as much stats as what people would expect him to get, but you can't fault him. Like, he's very versatile. He can play as linebacker. He can play off-ball linebacker, inside linebacker, defensive end as a 5-tech. He can move inside and a stunt move back into the 3-tech position, hitting the B gap. And you can draw back and cover. So you've got a very versatile player in Micah Parsons. He is a rare gem to have in your team, and he should be paid as one of the highest paid players, I think, personally. Like, there's no debate about it, I think, personally.
Just to comment on what that.
He's played cornerback too.
That's right. That's what I was meaning by dropping back in coverage. Yeah.
Go on, Jamie.
Just to touch on Valenti's comment there. Valenti said that he's the best player in defense. I think he's the best player on this roster, and that might get challenged by some people, which is fair. But for me, Micah Parsons is the best player on this roster. It's
not just that in terms of being best player as well. I think also as well, he's got the leadership qualities, the way how he talks as well. Like, he wants to get us a championship. He's been so outspoken about it. He hated the fact that we lost to San Francisco the way we did in the playoffs. Like, he felt like his side of the team and the defense did their job the best of their capability. He held our offense accountable. He wanted to kind of like, it's like, this offseason, we're going to try and help our offense, try and get them get better. We're going to ram it down their throats during practices. We're going to get rough and tough during training camps, stuff like that, to make them better and that. So, and he's that type of player. And whenever there's any criticism about his teammates, he's the first one on social media outing these people, saying, it's like, don't think, basically, like, it's like, we didn't call out my players, so they played a brilliant game. What you're saying is absolute trash, essentially. That's a leader of your team there, and that's something that's very hard to come by.
You know what, in terms of the contracts, and this is no disrespect to Diggs and to Dak either, because they both deserve the contracts they got. I think it's an easier decision to give him the money.
Absolutely, Jamie. Absolutely.
But like I say, that's not disrespect to Dak. Dak balled out, and Dak deserved the contract that he got. So did Diggs. But I think this is just such an easier decision to make, just because, like I say, because of the players. Like I say, for me, he's the best player on this roster. It's a no-brainer.
Yeah. As I say, Jamie, I mentioned it earlier, myself and Rich are going to be looking at this in a little bit of detail in the next couple of weeks, and there will be articles up on the website or on the Facebook group page, so stay tuned for that. Just bringing up Andrew's comment in relation to Mike Parsons, he says he's my next he's my next jersey, but I want a game-worn jersey. Andrew, good luck with that. You're looking at maybe 5 figures to get that jersey.
But yeah, it's not cheap, dude. Not cheap at all.
I suppose we could always have a word with him next week and see if we can swipe it for Valenti.
But as Labarsky says, I would say that other than Mahomes, he is the best, most important player in the league in regards to Micah Parsons.
Yeah. I think in terms of if you're to summarize one player per team, Mahomes, Kansas City, I would say Aaron Donald for LA and Micah Parsons for Dallas. I think that's easy. I think that's the most obvious ones out there. I can't think of the other teams right now. Like I can't really think who would be standouts for those other teams, but that was on my mind, Jim.
Now, boys, you have your mission next week.
Jamie, that's on you because you're the one that said it.
God, we not even got on the plane and Paul's backed out of it already.
Hey, I'm getting very drunk out my face when I'm over there. So,
mate, I've told you, mate, I'm joining you on it. I'm gonna be on the beer before you get in the airport.
Oh yeah.
So, look, guys, something else I wanted to mention during the course of the defensive side of the game. Our third down rate, 0 for 12.
That's ridiculous.
The Giants did not convert a third down in the whole game last weekend.
That's ridiculous.
Last lights out defense in it.
Yeah.
Again, that's another contribution. Micah is actually making defenses think about him, and it's now opening the door to let other players evolve. So he's a difference maker. That's plain and simple. Micah is the X factor.
Yeah. And as Mark Anthony is saying there, pay the man. He should be the highest paid defensive player in the NFL.
If I had a soundbite right now, it'd be show me the money.
Absolutely. Look, we obviously cannot talk about the defensive side of the ball without mentioning DaRon Bland's name again. He had another interception at the weekend. Since he's joined the league in 2022, he has 10 interceptions, which is the highest number of interceptions in the league in that time period. Richard Sherman is the only other fifth-round player to have had 10 interceptions in their first 2 years in the league. And DaRon still has half a season to go.
He is a pick machine, isn't he?
Yeah.
It's a little bit like, I'm not saying it is at that level. He could get to it, but it's like teams don't learn. Like if you look at Diggs, like teams didn't learn. Don't throw to Diggs because Diggs will make you pay, and that's what teams are doing this season with Bland. They're throwing his way in, and he's having field days. It's like teams are going to have to stop throwing his way because he's just going to end. I think he's going to end up with more receptions than a lot of receivers in this league. It's insane what he's doing.
Yeah, I know someone said it earlier in the comments, might be Lebarski or Mark, but they said he has more touchdowns this season than 6 wide receiver ones on their team. For a defensive back.
That's mad.
It's an absolutely crazy statistic. But Paul, what's your own assessment of DaRon Bland so far?
The unsung hero that we did not expect to come out to play. That's pretty much it. Like because when you think about it, he was a 5th round draft pick, I believe.
5th round draft pick, yeah.
Very, very low expectations. When he came and burst into the scene, he's just been picking interceptions left, right, and center, and he's continued to evolve that into this season. So I think given more time, more game, and when Slicks of Dice comes back into play, you could see him and Bland, because obviously Gilmore is pretty much like playing for his final seasons as an NFL player right now. But in terms of the future, you can see like Diggs and Bland on opposite sides of the ball. That's a scary combination. You've got 2 absolute ball hawks, guys that can tackle, guys that have got the keen eye to read the quarterback. It's scary. It's absolutely scary.
See, this comes back to the whole thing of taking your opportunity, doesn't it? Like, yeah, it's absolutely devastating what happened to Diggs, but it's that old saying in the league, it's next man up in it, and did the Cowboys have somebody on the roster that could maybe not so much fill that role, but come in and grab the ball by the horn, so to speak, and take every ounce of opportunity that they've got. And he's come in and done that, and that's what you want. And it's going to be interesting if Gilmore's around next season, how the Cowboys play this out, because obviously Diggs is going to be back fully fit, and you've got Bland, who's had a good season, and Gilmore's no slouch. It's going to make that secondary look a lot stronger next season when it gets to that. But that's probably a conversation for another day.
Yeah, and like I'm going to mention a name here, and I know people are going to be a little bit peed off, but don't forget Eric Scott, who we drafted last year. We traded away this year's 5th round draft pick, and he's been a healthy inactive each week. But they have effectively redshirted him for this year, and I think going into 2024, you're going to see a lot more of Eric Scott on the field. And I would expect a similar impact from him as what we've got from Deron Bland. But look, as we always love to say, guys, we cannot leave this show without talking about our special teams. Brandon Aubrey, 7 from 7. Brian Anger, 93 yards, both of his kicks into the 22, flipped the field, pinned the Giants inside their 20. I mean, special teams this year have been special.
I can't say any more than that. Like, Brandon Aubrey has completely lit the world on fire. I think he's just been absolutely phenomenal. And I never thought going into this season I'd be praising a kicker with all the praises right now, because he's just been unstoppable. Like, he's only missed one, and that was his very first kick. Since then, he has been ruthless. Like, and here's the thing: the majority of all of his kicks have been pretty much always been bang on the center. None of them was like hit off the woodwork or just made it in. He's made it very comfortable being in the league. Like, he's adjusted supremely well. So, amazing acquisition to the Dallas Cowboys squad. Something that we've been desperately needing for the past couple of years as a good kicker, and we've got that now. Like, obviously there was question marks when we did bring him on board. Like, does he have it what it takes to go into the lights under the NFL, especially playing for the Dallas Cowboys, probably the most notable team of all sports franchises across the world? The answer to that is a big fat yes.
It's got little bits of Dan Bailey kind of feel. Like I say, it's automatic. It's if the Cowboys have got a 52-yard field goal with time. Sorry, not field goal. Field goal. Sorry, with time expiring. The game's tied at 27. Aubrey's up. You just have that feel that he's going to kick it. Like kickers over the last couple of years, they've come up. Even for extra points, you sat there and been like, I'm not really confident about this. This might not go in, but it's like this is like pretty much like when we cover the games on Twitter. It's pretty much when it gets to an extra point or it's a field goal. It's already typed out. Already saying the extra point is good. The field goal from blah 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 is good. Like you just have that much confidence in. Like it's like it feels like it would take an absolute miracle for him to miss like some kind a dodgy kind of wind blow or him falling on his backside into the turf's too wet. Something like it's something like that. It's going to be something freak that breaks that 100%. I say 100% since he missed his first one. It's going to take something odd to break that record going.
Yeah, and again, like Brian Anger. I'm just trying to get the point here from Mark Anthony. With the best place kicker, best punter, best return game, and best rushing game or punch rush game or trying to block the kicker. You know, like that's what you want from your special teams. You don't have to worry about them doing their jobs.
Yep. And big, massive credit to Bones Faso.
Yeah.
Right. This year, like he's been absolutely spot on in terms of his decision making, getting the players drilled. Because that's always seems to be the forgotten position. Special teams can be very hit and miss, but this year he's got special teams drilled to the high heavens this year. So, and he deserves a lot of credit as well. All the coaches that, for that in mind, even our cornerbacks coach right now deserves a lot. Yep, Harris deserves a lot of credit as well. So we've been doing really good things, and I just hope we like just for our like how things are going right now. I just hope these type of performances continue on and get more wins of those belt and actually challenge for that NFC East and move and get into those playoffs.
Yeah. I kind of agree with the comment of Mark. I think we've got probably we've got the most consistent kicker at the minute. There's only one. Is he the best kicker in the NFL? I think there's only probably one kicker I would take over him at this moment in time. Yeah, but just because he's pretty much automatic and he could go down as the greatest kicker in the NFL history. But it's at the minute it's close. Like it's if it was like you've got Justin Tucker, you've got Brandon Aubrey. Now sell me on them. Like it would be a very hard sell. Like there'd be a lot of toing and froing. It probably end up coming down to a coin toss.
Here's a question for you guys. We all know the Pro Bowl can be a bit meh. Aubrey, Pro Bowl, Jones, Pro Bowl. What do we think?
I think it'd be a travesty if they don't make it.
Our kicker and punter, I think they should be already in the conversation for it.
Yeah. In the conversation. As at today, they're very definitely in the conversation.
It should be like first selection in terms of special teams.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Mark Anthony is coming in and he said Aubrey might be the GOAT. There is only one GOAT, Mark Anthony. Put some respect on his name.
He's talking about, in case you don't know, Mark, like the GOAT he's referring to is Jeff Heath. Because he did score some kicking points against the Chargers back in 2017. And I was at that game.
Yeah.
And he made it. He made it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Lebarski is saying, he says, I hope Aubrey doesn't make the Pro Bowl, but that's because he'll be playing in a different game. I think we all agree with those sentiments, Lebarski.
Like the confidence.
Yeah, I just want to highlight as well. So, guys, if you're listening through Spotify or Apple Music and stuff like that, and you're wondering who we're talking to, these are from the live comments that we're talking to. Yep. So, if you want to catch us live, be sure to go and hit us up our usual time at 9 p.m. UK time, 3 p.m. Central time on Tuesday and Thursdays. So, we'll be live on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. So, if you want to make comments onto it, so that's where we're talking to likes of Lebarski, Mark Anthony, it's through the comments. So if you're listening for Spotify and you want to become more engaged, then come on to the live stream.
Yeah, 100%. Gentlemen, I think that's pretty much everything we have for the show. So before we get out of here, look, we always like to pay the bills. Paul, I'm going to throw this over to you.
Yes, guys, if you're planning on going to a Dallas Cowboys game this year, be sure to go and check out cowboysexperience.com for game tickets, stadium tours, meet and greets, and much, much more. And if you want to get the full best experience and get a discount, be sure to use the promo code UK Cowboys. Sorry, I almost burped there.
What does that code get you, Jamie?
Gets you one of two things, actually, Brian. Gets you free stuff. Gets you chocolate pudding.
It does indeed. It does indeed.
I do want to actually iterate, like, you don't actually do get chocolate pudding, but it's just an ongoing joke we do have here. Like, but you do get get some.
Better have some chocolate pudding ready next week.
Oh yeah, we've already said we're going to get some chocolate pudding.
Oh God,
we're getting some. It's going to be on. It's going to be on air. Don't you worry, Brian.
But but in terms of the package in terms of packages from using that code, that you get free stuff. You get like signed memorabilia, other like game signed magazines and stuff like that. You get names raffled in for the like free raffle tickets for prizes like signed jerseys and stuff like that. So yeah, there's a lot of good things you get included with your package, the Cowboys experience.
So Lebarski, just before we get out of here, Lebarski had a couple of questions. He says, I've looked all over but can't find who he is. Just come back to us on who that question there, Lebarski, but I'll throw this one to the two guys. Before we end, who's the dude that's always attached to Mike McCarthy's side? Do either of you guys have any insight on that?
You know, I've never even noticed it, so I apologise because I've never noticed.
Dak Prescott, because he looked as though he was actually side by side with him quite a lot in that game.
I think it's Bones.
Oh, Bones! You're talking about Bones Faso.
I think it's Bones. Yeah, Bones generally tends to be always beside McCarthy.
Yeah, it could be him. Like Lebarski, like kind of describe him. I know it's going to be hard to text it, like type it in. No, but if you can give us some type of description, what he looks like, is he tall and skinny? Does he have a baseball cam and he's got a pure square jawline? Then if that's him, then that's Faso. That's probably the best. That's probably the best way I can describe Bones Faso.
Short beard. That's not Bones.
That's not Bones. Well,
I think that's one of the assistants. I think I know who he's talking about, but it's one of the assistants. It might even be McCarthy's kind of personal assistant. But gentlemen, before we go, I have a question for the two of you.
Oh,
this is the last show I'm on before you guys land somewhere. Where are you guys going to be next week?
We're
on our way to Dallas, baby.
Yeah. It's finally real, isn't it?
Are big and bright. Deep in the heart of Texas.
Yeah, so probably the next time we join you live, Bri, unless you jump on the Thursday show, we'll be live from Texas. I think it was about 16 of us, isn't there, going out from the group to go watch the Cowboys.
Jimmy, we won't be able to do Thursday at all.
No. I think there was. Mike was saying there's talk about maybe after you guys have done the Cowboys Experience one, doing like I don't know if it's all about we maybe combining a show or whatever. I don't know. Mike was was coming across. I don't know if him and Bryce spoke, but mentioned about maybe even like a special from there, which could be very dangerous if because we'll have had quite a bit to drink.
It could be.
But he'd mentioned it. He'd mentioned it a couple of times. He said he's still toying with ideas, but I'm assuming that that'll be between you three guys to work out because I'm going for the beer.
I will not be on that show. I will be safely tucked up in my bed next Wednesday night.
To be fair, though, I think out of that whole trip, I think the one thing we need to probably apologise for is probably the noise that will come out of all of our mouths when Dolly Parton comes on stage with doing the outside show. I think we are going to scream like little girls.
We're not going to have any voices left to even talk, Jamie.
It's going to be mad.
We're all going to sound like, I don't know, we're all going to sound like Chewbacca after the game.
Well, I mean, like Cowboys and Dolly Parton is like could you get a better combination?
No, in fact, do you know who we'll all sound like? We'll all sound like 2023 version of Miley Cyrus. That's who we'll sound like.
You mean Dolly's goddaughter?
Aye, we're going to sound like Miley Cyrus by after the game. It's like that.
So look, the final question before we go, gentlemen. Which are you more excited for? The game or Dolly Parton?
The game, obviously.
As much as she's a legend, that's what we're going over for the Cowboys, aren't we? That's what obviously. It's about.
That was the icing on the cake, the cherry topping, pretty much. But I'm been buzzing for this game for ages. Like the fact that it's against Washington, I can't wait.
Yeah, absolutely. Lebarski has said Brian flexing that piano plays the tune. Lebarsky, I'm sure you can hear me playing right now. But look, it's the end of the show. It's a good night for me, and I'll pass you over to these two gentlemen.
As usual, Dallas forever, Philly for never. Have a great week, everyone, and we'll see you for the pre-game show on Thursday.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Have a great week, and we'll see you from Dallas next week.
Texas forever, folks.